speaker is Mr. Evans Edgehorn Edible, Executive Director, Pan-African Business Labs, PABL. He has an impressive background spanning over 12 years in various sectors, including manufacturing, profit, organization, ICT management, consulting, and intra-African trade advisory. He brings a wealth of expertise and passion for driving economic growth across Africa. Welcome, Mr. Evans. Please unmute yourself.
Hello, everyone. Greetings from Lagos, Nigeria. And Anaya, thank you very much for the opportunity. I'm grateful. And straight away, let's move to what we have. All right. We're looking at opportunities for international trade and investments. Opportunity for international trade and investments in Nigeria. Okay. And okay, Anaya has already done the introduction. Okay, and probably just to add that in the past 3 years, our impact has affected more than 20,000 women, youth, and SMEs across 46 African countries. So we're basically helping them to identify key priority areas where they can convert the FCFT opportunity to concrete transactions on one hand. And then on the other hand, we're also trying to help them adapt their businesses, product, services, investment, and brand to the free trade area. Now, considering the crucial role of MSMEs as catalysts in the economic growth, trade, and development value chain, like for instance, in Nigeria, there are over 41 million SMEs. These SMEs account for about 48% of the national gross domestic product and 96% of businesses in the country. And then you have 84% of employment and more than about 7% of gross exports. So as such, the World MSME Day, therefore, offers a very important avenue to acknowledge them, these SMEs, and applaud their noble contributions and to exchange information and knowledge to support their development and resilience at scale. Yes. This Nigeria, again, we're looking at the opportunities, investment opportunities in Nigeria. Officially, it's called the Federal Republic of Nigeria, and then we have our capital in Abuja, FCT Abuja. Nigeria is located in sub-Sahara Africa, covering a land of over 910,000 kilometers square, and then water about 13,000 kilometers square. So that gives you about 923,768 kilometers square. Then our currency is Nigerian Naira. Our exchange rate is 700 to $1 USD. Then we have a population of 280 million. That's 2022. Then the labor force, a whooping labor force of over 19 million. So we're looking at from 25 to 44 years of age. Then the inflation is about 22%. Then the GDP is over 504 billion USD. And then we have a per capita GDP per capita of over 2,326 $. Okay, just quick overview about Nigeria economic landscape. Nigeria is the largest economy in Africa, and also it has is about one of the fastest growing population in the world, and we're estimating by 2050 it should be about the third largest population in the world. That's probably going to be behind India. Okay, after China and India, and then probably Nigeria. So in terms of mineral resources, in terms of arable land, Nigeria has a huge deposit of, in fact, abundance of mineral resources, and also a land, okay, and other resources. Then for over 2 decades, we've had stability in our democracy. That's since 1999. So we've been having a democratic government peacefully. Then a quick look at the key industries and sectors that we have in Nigeria. We have Agreco, we have Citibank, you have Deloitte, you have KPMG, you have Julius Berger, you have Slobeja, Shell, Total, and Standard Chartered. Many of them, you have a Cisco, you have HP, you have a Cadbury, you have PZ, Cushion, you have Friesland, GSK, Guinness, and P&G next to Microsoft, Unilever, Promasidor, Pepsi, MTN, and a whole number of them, okay, we have in Nigeria. Then let's look at the share of total trade as of 2019. Okay, let's look at the share of total trade. Obviously, crude oil, unrefined petroleum product account for over 45.7% of the total trade. Then you have manufactured goods, vessels, vehicle, pharmaceuticals, and glassware that account for over 30%. You have other oil products like natural gas and bitumen coal, that's over 15.6%. You have raw material, urea, leather, rubber, cane sugar, tobacco, about 4.4%. You have agricultural goods like sesame seed, cocoa beans, cashew nuts, and all of that account for about 3.8%. You have solid minerals that account for about 0.43%, etc. Then looking at the nominal growth rate of activities in a non-oil sector. Now, the point is Nigeria has largely been dependent on oil. So we're trying to move from dependency on oil to non-oil sector. So looking at the contribution, you have agriculture at 13.8%. You have mining and quarrying, a whopping 49%. You have manufacturing. We have 5.21%. Unfortunately, electricity, you see, Nigeria provides electricity to neighboring countries, and recently it was privatized, and following that privatization, the private investors that bought the electricity companies, they've not really been able to come to the part of profitability. So that's why you're seeing a negative contribution, meaning that they are still in debt. They have not moved to profitability. Then you have construction trade. Trade contribute 14.59%. Can I just mention one of the reasons is actually because, especially when we're talking about intra-African trade within Africa, it is because before now the African market was actually fragmented, was a bit challenging to navigate, but following the African Continental Free Trade Agreement, I think the African market is becoming one of the best markets, one of the most attractive markets in the world. And we're going to be saying that shortly, but let's just note that trade contributed 14 point, let's just say 50%, okay, 50%. Let's move to the next slide. Then looking at major products, top products, the main products that were spotted in 2021. Again, you have petroleum oil and oil obtained, okay, from bituminous. That's account for a whooping 76%. You have petroleum gas and other gaseous hydrocarbons. That's about 12%. You have light vessels, fire flow, dredgers floating. That's about 2.6%. Then you have cocoa beans. That's about 1.2%. You have other oil seeds and okay, and like that. Now let's quickly move to import. Okay, again, we had to import refined petroleum. That's about 30% of our total import. You have wheat, that's about 5.2%. You have motor cars under motor vehicle, principally, that's about 3.3%. You have medicaments consisting of mixed and unmixed medication, that's about 2.1%. Frozen fish, 1.4%. Okay, bicycle, polymers, and etc. Now, let's move to our top export destinations and imports. Some of the top export and import partner. One of them under export is India. India happens to be one of our largest destination that we import to. Then you have Spain, you have Netherlands, you have United States, and you have France. Then in terms of imports, you have China as one of our biggest partner in terms of import, then followed closely by the United States, Netherlands, and then India coming fourth, and then Bengal. So that's the performance regarding export and import. Then trade policies, agreement, and incentive for international trade. Nigeria is a signatory to World Trade agreements, so is a member of World Trade Organization. So you have ECOWAS, then you have a GSP, Generalized System of Preference, then you have the D8 country economic cooperation. Nigeria also happens to be one of the member, which is headquartered in Turkey. Then you have the African Growth Opportunity Act. So this is basically American trade policy through which it deals with sub-Saharan Africa. Then we have the global system of trade preferences among development countries. And then very important, you have the AfCFTA, the African Continental Free Trade Agreement. So the AfCFTA basically is an intra-African trade agreement or a legal instrument, okay, that create a single market among African countries basically, and it connects 1.4 billion African consumers to create a single market, and that market is valued at about 3.4 trillion USD. US dollars. So measured in terms of number of participating countries, AfCFTA happens to be the largest free trade area in the world. So I want us to dig deep a bit into AfCFTA. There's a couple of things we're definitely going to have to learn from AfCFTA. Let's quickly note that the private sector, especially the SMEs that contribute to over 415 million jobs in Africa, account for about 60% of Africa GDP. So these SMEs and private sector businesses are the core of AfCFTA. Now, what is AfCFTA in a nutshell? Like I mentioned, it is intra-African trade agreement that created the African Continental Free Trade Area. Okay, and currently, the intra-African trade is about 16%, and the AfCFTA is looking at moving into about 58% at full implementation. So it was created to deepen economic integration and cooperation among African countries. Like I noted before, before now the market was fragmented. It was very difficult to navigate African market. Okay, because there was no a regulatory framework that should regulate trade practices in the continent. But following this AfCFTA, African market is becoming one of the most attractive, standardized, and one of the most harmonized markets, okay, in the world. Now, what's the general objective of AfCFTA? Number one is to create a single market for goods and services. Then number two is tariff liberalization. So AfCFTA hopes to liberalize tariff of close to 90 tariff line in the next 10 years, between the next 5 to 10 years. So AfCFTA hope to liberalize the tariff, okay, and reduce it gradual reduction until it gets to zero, okay, which is one of the key elements of the free trade area, that is the tariff liberalization. Then you have to facilitate investment and free movement of capital. That's also one of the objectives of AFCFTA. We have to promote inclusive and gender-sensitive socioeconomic development in the sense that it intends to create a level playing ground for all the actors, all the players, okay, including women, youths in trade and SMEs, okay. Then also to increase inter-African trade and competition, a healthy competition, a kind of a competition where you are so certain you know exactly what to expect, and because it is so transparent and the rules are clear and is there to guide everyone. And also to promote industrialization, diversification, and resilience. You know, before now, Africa is seen as the home of raw materials for the world, but that is changing. We want the factory. So Africa, we're asking for the factory. We want the factory in Africa, not just coming to take the raw materials. No, bring the factory down here, because we also want to get industrialized in order to be able to create value addition to our product. Because the raw materials we're selling is not giving us much revenue compared to the finished goods. So we are promoting, AFCFTA seeks to promote industrialization and diversification amongst other things, and also to resolve overlapping intricacies in the regional economic communities in Africa. You know, you have Western Africa, Southern Africa, Eastern Africa, Central and Northern Africa, and all of that. Okay, so AFCFTA seek to want to harmonize all these regional economic communities, okay, so that we have a single market, okay, have a single custom union, okay, in the continent. So these are some of the objectives of the AFCFTA as a critical trade policy agreement that currently regulates and governs trade in Africa. So when you look at these, a quick note that there are over 5,516 tariff lines. This is a product that you can export within the under AFCFTA, within the free trade area, over 5,516 tariff line. That is just under the general product list. And then you have a 429 tariff line that is under the sensitive list. And then we have the exclusive list, which comprise 184 tariff line. Now, Nigeria being a custom union, Nigeria is a custom union, and one of the countries in ECOWAS, okay, and as one of the developing country category, it elected to implement the AFCFTA tariff liberalization based on LDC timetable. That is the least developed country timetable, and that means within the next 10 years, Nigeria is going to liberalize the tariff and bring everything to zero. So when you look at the base year, you see some products that's on 5%, product 10%, 20%, and 30%. So you look at gradually from year 1 to year 10, how Nigeria intend to reduce the tariff gradually and bring it to zero. Now, let's quickly mention some of the operational instruments, okay, that helps in the implementation of AFCFTA to make trading easier in the continent. We have what is called non-tariff barrier, okay, reporting, monitoring, and elimination mechanism. So that's what you have here. So all form of non-tariff barrier, including sanitary and phytosanitary measures, and pre-shipment inspections and other formalities, contingent trade protective measure, and foreign exchange restrictions, measure affecting competition, whatever it is. So what you do is to go to this application and book whatever non-tariff that you have encountered for immediate resolution. So that is one of the operational instrument, one of the application that has been designed to facilitate the implementation of this agreement. Then you have another one here, that is a one-stop border post in Africa. one-stop border post and in Africa. Before now, we just talked about market being fragmented. You see, before now, there are times you're shipping or you're going by land on a particular corridor, expressway, and there are a lot of border posts where you have to wait for inspections and all of that. And this constitutes unnecessary delay. So what we're trying to do is to have what is called one-stop border post in Africa. And there are about 76 of them where when you are shipping, maybe by land on a particular corridor, expressway, you would just have to stop at just one-stop border post. There, the custom officers are there, immigrations are there, security are there, standards, they want to look at the standards of the product, they are there. So they inspect the product once and for all. And once you're done, till you get to the destination, there is not going to be anymore. You don't have to stop anymore. So that's the whole essence of this one-stop border post in order to accelerate and fast track African integration. So away from that, there's a very important application here, and it's actually a market intelligence application. It's called African Trade Observatory. Everything you need to know regarding the African market, this application is something that will help you to achieve it. It was actually funded by the European Union, and it was the technical partner. It was developed by the International Trade Center and for the African Union. So it is a tool, okay, when it comes to selecting the market and the product. So like, again, what I said is, like I mentioned before, we're looking at transparency. So you're able to manage the value chain. You're able to manage expectation regarding your export and import. Okay, so you have all the information there. So it's a very huge application. So these are just some of the functionalities that helps you select the best market and the best product. And you see the product performance, and you see the volume that has been traded, and the actual and the projection and all of that. So that is one of the operational instruments for that. Then we have a huge marketplace. African Trade Exchange is a huge we have a number of them. This is just one of them. Okay, for digital trade. Okay, it's a huge e-commerce platform where it's supported by AFCFTA, Afreximbank, African Union. Okay, where you can also create your online store and your product. And also, there's a very interesting one here. It is called Pan-African Payment and Settlement System. You know, international economy, there are two disciplines, international finance and then international trade. We shouldn't be talking about trade when there's no efficient payment infrastructure system. And for us in Africa, there's been a bit of a challenge because of the USD. Okay, a lot of SMEs were actually marginalized because they could not participate. Okay, very well, having to source for USD. Okay, but what Africa is trying to do now is we created this platform. Is an instant payment infrastructure that allows payment in African local currency. There are over 42 local currencies in Africa, and these platforms allowed you to make payment and to receive payment in your local currency without having to convert to USD. Because in the end, according to Afreximbank, transfer charges is costing Africa over $5 billion per annum, over $5 billion. These are just transfer charges, additional charges, okay, on transfer, okay, associated with USD. So we want to see how we can ensure that businesses and SMEs do no longer bear those unnecessary costs. So hence, this application that allows, is already operational, a lot of banks have been onboarded, a lot of mobile telephone, mobile money service providers have been onboarded, a lot of payment switches have been onboarded. So like this GC Bank, for instance, can now, someone can make and receive payment through GC Bank in Nigeria, Gambia, Libya, Guinea, and Sierra Leone. Okay, make payment and receive it in your local currency. So that's just where we'll stop regarding the operational instrument. There are a whole lot of them, but I just have to mention these few words. Okay, then looking at, let's look at immediate investment opportunities across various sectors. Okay, here we're talking about over 46 African countries. As I speak now, 46 African countries, okay, that have ratified the agreement and effectively constitute the free trade area. So some of the sector, recently there was AFCFTA Business Forum in Cape Town in South Africa, where the AFCFTA Secretariat engaged with the private sector. There are some sectors that need immediate investment. These sectors have been prioritized. It needs immediate investment. We have the agro processing. We have the automotive. In fact, there is automotive fund, adjustment fund regarding automotive. Like, you know, before now you have second-hand vehicles, okay, being exported to Africa. We import a lot of second-hand vehicle, but now we also want to see how we can start producing vehicles in Africa, including their parts and accessories. So AFCFTA and Afrexim Bank and other partners had to create a fund to help players in that value chain. So automotive is one area that requires immediate investment across 46 African countries, of course, including Nigeria. Then you have pharmaceuticals. The experiences of Africa was not very palatable during the COVID-19, where you had some pharmaceutical giants, okay, prioritizing saving of life, prioritizing profit to saving of life. Africa received their vaccine very late. So we've decided to declare pharmaceutical as a key priority area. We need investment. We want to safeguard the health of all people. So pharmaceutical value chain regarding pharmaceutical is one of the critical sector requiring immediate investment in Africa. Then you have logistics, you have transport. This is one critical area. Logistic, cargo airline, by flight, by land, and vessels, ship, and all of that. Imagine more than 5,516 products, okay, that can be exported. These products will require form of transportation. And we're talking about free movement of goods, services, investment, and people, right? So definitely transportation and logistics, okay, it has a huge role to play in facilitating intra-African trade. So this is why it's a critical area that requires immediate investment, okay? And also we have digital trade. We need all the digital platform, okay, where people can start trading immediately, as soon as possible. So we need a lot of digital platform and marketplace, e-commerce, okay? So that's also one area that requires immediate investment. So also we still have e-commerce, software development. We want to digitize, want to automate transactions, trading activities as much as possible. So we need all the software that can help us to make trade easier. Okay, so of course, digital fintech, we need a lot of fintech, though we have some, but we still need much more because of the unbanked population and community in Africa. So we need, especially mobile money services. We need mobile money services away from the traditional banking. We need mobile money service providers, investment in that area, because the people with mobile phones, the people with mobile number, okay, are actually more than, okay, those with, let's say for Nigeria, for instance, you have what is called BVN, okay, biometric verification number, okay, like 100 something million people that have BVN. But if you look at telecommunication penetration, is going to 200 and something million. So it means that we need to see a fintech solution that will go along, that will bring mobile money technology beside the regular banking, traditional banking system. Okay, of course, internet is still very much low in Africa, so we need all the internet service providers as possible. Okay, affordable at that, affordable at that. So e-payment system, we need all the e-payment. We're looking at a market of $3.4 trillion. So we need all the e-payment system as much as possible. Then, okay, we talked about logistics. That will aid the movement of goods and services. We need immediate investment in those areas. So basically, there are over 5,500 assistants. So these are just few of them. These are just few of them, okay, where we need investment. So in terms of incentives, in terms of commitment to promoting SMEs, there is a lot as provided by the EFCFTA, okay, and also in terms of national implementation strategies, each country too, they are improving on their ease of doing business, okay, both as provided in already in the EFCFTA and also the ones they've internally generated. So there's a trade policy reformation going on in Africa. Those bilateral trade agreements that were created that were not favorable to Africa, they are being reviewed, especially in the light of AFCFTA, which is to a large extent is a very fair and transparent and a very participatory, inclusive agreement that was negotiated, and then we agreed, and then it was created. So in terms of productive capacity, in terms of trade facilitation mechanism, trade policy, trade-related infrastructure, trade finance, trade information, factor market integration, institutional coordination, all of these are and much more are on pipelines. Specifically in Nigeria, you have a lot of facilities and a lot of interventions that the government is currently undertaking. I think we just have a new, we had an election that was in February, and a new government, a new president was sworn in. That was in May 29. And within 2 weeks or thereabout, there have been a lot of reform. Like, for instance, before now, Nigeria has two foreign exchange window. You have the official and you have the market, you have the black market. And that was discouraging investors, because at the end of the day, some are getting from official rate. And how do you compete when you are getting your foreign exchange in black market? So the first thing that the president did was to float the foreign exchange market. That is why it jumped to over several hundred. So now the foreign exchange market is floated, is transparent. We now have a single foreign exchange rate that we're using, and that's a huge plus for us. And also there was subsidy on petroleum, which of course it was being abused. It was really being abused. There was a lot of corruptions around it. So they've also removed that subsidy. The savings that we're going to get from that, it is to provide critical infrastructures and social investment programs. So there's a lot going on across Africa, especially to prepare for full implementation of the FCFTA. So you have a 50 billion naira export expansion facility. Okay, you see, I just mentioned that SMEs in Nigeria, they contribute barely just around 7% to export. That is not good at all. And it's actually because the market in Africa here was very difficult to navigate, since there was no an instrument, an illegal instrument, okay, that should regulate and govern trade. But following the FCFTA, that definitely we're going to 52. It's going to 52%. So there are a lot. You have 1 billion Nigeria African Trade Investment Program. You have the Nigeria Export Promotion Council Zero Oil Plan. We want to move from oil to real manufacturing. We want to face manufacturing, because at the end of the day, this is what truly contributes, the real sector, what contributes to GDP. We want to stop earning foreign exchange through oil. We want to start earning foreign exchange through trade in terms of export. Of course, we have to add value to whatever we're exporting and then sell. Okay, so that is already, we have a lot of them here. One product, one state. Okay, that's also an initiative. The local implementation committee have gone around nationwide, and they want each state and each local government to concentrate on areas where they have advantage, where they have economic advantage, okay, to exploit whatever product that they want to export. Then you have the ports digitization. A lot of infrastructures are being modernized to ensure that we have a smooth implementation, AFCFT, because we are looking at a market of 1.4 billion customers. Okay, and then lastly, let's look at some few success story. This is AFCFT certificate of origin. Yes, certificate of origin. This is a sample, and this is Igile Coffee, who got AFCFT certificates of origin, and you can now see that the product has made in AFCFT. So with this now, you can, within the free trade area, you are going to be able to trade at a preferential arrangement, and you won't encounter unnecessary stop, delay, and all of that just because you are bearing this AFCFTA badge on your product, because this product complies with AFCFTA requirement. And also we have this shipment here. This over 4 container of tea from Kenya, okay, and it moves to Ghana. And more recently, Ghana, over 65 premium businesses, SMEs, okay, they had a trade delegation in Kenya. They moved their products, okay, to Kenya, okay, so that they can expand and scale in the East African market, leveraging on Kenya as the gateway. So this is how trade and investment is taking a new turn following the African Continental Free Trade Area. So that's basically what African country is routing for now. That's what we are now looking at. And I have no doubt that very soon that agreement policy is definitely going to probably set aside a lot of every other agreement in order for us to accelerate trade and investment and sustainable development in Africa. So thank you very much for the opportunity. And then I rest my case. If there's any question, I'll answer.
Thank you, Mr. Evan, for such useful information. Thank you so much. And now I would like to congratulate you for the World Global MSME Champion Awards. And I would like to request you to say a few words.
Yes, thank you very much. Yes, as a personal matter, I believe that men in the world over, they are remembered by what they have done. I've always believed this for a very long time, that we are remembered by what we have done, either by the problem that we created or the solution that we provided. And this is the more reason why I am humbled by this recognition. Is actually a recognition that I was awarded based on a solution that I'm providing. And I know that it can only inspire me to do more if I can do this lead-you effort, and then is this celebrated and is recognized. Definitely it serves as an inspiration, and not me also, but to other young African professionals and business leaders, so that they too can engage their expertise, knowledge, and resourcefulness to help to accelerate the growth of SMEs in Africa. So thank you very much. I'm very grateful.
Thank you, and congratulations.